Come on now.
Hey guys.
It's just a pineapple.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Here at the Swamp, getting ready to beat LSU. Y'all tune in to Rule Number 1 podcast on Monday.
Yeah. You hear that, yeah. You know what that means. Another week, another episode. Welcome back in to the Rule 1 podcast, guys.
Yeah, man. We're going strong. You know, this is number 25. Nice round number for us.
Yes.
And
halfway to 50.
Yeah, quarter of the way to 100.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we on this week we're gonna kind of follow up and finish up our kind of like testimony series.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, we had a guest come on in between. But we had a great opportunity to have her on, and we wanted to do that. But yeah, we're going to get back into it. Brian's going to give his story, and we can kind of, you know, judge and see, not judge. We don't want to judge Brian, but we're going to kind of just get his side of the story, and so y'all can get a better understanding on who opens this thing up with a big every episode.
Every week. That's
so,
my voice.
Brian, without further ado, I mean, man, we ask this question on every episode. What is your number one rule you live by?
You know, it's such an interesting question. And when we came up with it, I didn't realize how hard it would be to answer it myself. And I think that I have, you know, different parts of my life that I live by different rules. But the ultimate rule that I live by is keep myself happy. You'll figure things out.
Yeah.
No matter what, you know, try to find the best in whatever situation's going on. And, you know, you'll be all right. You're going to figure things out. And I've lived by that for a while now. And it's kind of led me down a interesting, story-filled path. But I wouldn't change it for the world.
Yeah, definitely, man. I mean, I think we were talking the other day, and I think we were both having a rough day or something like that, and we were in a group chat, and Brian was like, well, this and this and this happened, and I was like, well, I've tore up 2 pieces of equipment, and it's not even 11 o'clock in the afternoon
It was
yet.
a Friday, too.
Yeah, and so it's just like, it was a bunch of bad things going on. I was sitting back at video, and I was like, man, the way I look at it is I'm blessed to have the opportunity to get up and go to work every day. And so, and not everybody can say that. And, you know, we can always go and complain about our jobs. We can say, oh, you know, I hate my 9 to 5, or I hate this, and I hate this. You know, I wish I made more money. Take a step back every now and then and be like, you know, I am blessed with the capability to wake up, brush my teeth, go get breakfast, and go to work and be able to work for a living and be able to collect a paycheck every single Friday. And that's what I kind of try to tell myself when I'm feeling down about it. But I don't know about you, if you can relate to that.
I relate to it because I respect it, because I'm like a person who likes to live off a routine.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I like to get my routine going. Whatever my day holds, I got to, you know, try to find some kind of routine. I have the same weekend kind of routine. I kind of do the same things. My daily routine's kind of the same throughout the work week. I don't know. That's what I kind of live by, is my routine.
Yeah. And I mean, it's very easy, because that was one thing in college that I was really almost looking forward to, because we had a routine, like playing college baseball and going to school and everything, but it wasn't like, it was all over the place. I felt like I would, you know, I'd get in a groove, and I'd, you know, have 2 hours of class, and then I'd have 3 hour break, and then I'd have, 3 hour practice, and then I'd have an hour break, and then I'd have an hour lift, and then it was like, then I got to go get dinner, then I got an hour of homework, and it's like, I've hated the off and on.
Stop and go.
And so, like, obviously in the workplace, it can be very monotonous. You know, for me, for instance, I wake up at, you know, I get out of bed at 6 o'clock, and then I go to work at 7, and I get back at 6:30, and then come back in here. So it can be monotonous, but at the same time, you know exactly what you're going to do every day.
Well, I think the crazy thing is about it is people don't realize that when you go from being an student athlete every day, and having those breaks in your routine, going from that, exhorting, you know, most of your energy for 3 hours a day, to having to wake up early in the mornings like you're used to, but then having to exhort energy from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and not having those, you know, down times or that time to lose focus. Yeah. And it's hard to adjust, because not only does it take toll on your, you know, body, because you're not used to your workout routine anymore, you're not outside as much, it takes a toll on your mind too. You start wondering, like, why am I not doing these things? Like, why do I feel like time's shorter than it used to be? Why do and it's hard to transition into the workplace like that. And, I struggled with it. I think you did too.
Yeah.
But like I said, once I got my routine down, it helped me, get into, my new part of my life. And I really do enjoy what I'm doing now.
Yeah, I feel like a big thing on like student athletes coming out of college is I don't know the number, but I saw there was a stat one time, and it was like the depression rate of student athletes as soon as they get their degree and they finish is like through the roof.
Yeah.
And I believe it was the suicide rate of like student athletes after they get out of college. It's because, their whole entire life they've had, a goal. Like, I'm working my butt off, I want to win a championship, I want to win this, and I want to do that, and then they get out of college, and all of a sudden they lose their whole purpose. And, kind of like what John O'Neill was saying a couple episodes back, and he was saying, I have my purpose. It doesn't matter what I'm doing, I have a purpose, and I live for that. And, he said his Christian walk is with, Jesus Christ and everything, but I feel like it's a big thing when student athletes get out of, their sport. They start working, and it becomes a monotonous thing, kind of like what I was saying, but there's not almost like a competitive spirit with it.
Yeah.
And some job fields there are,
sales and stuff like that.
But generally the competitiveness is not there. And so, whenever athletes, we lift weights or we practice as hard as we possibly can and hoping for results.
Yeah.
In a lot of jobs, it's like, okay, show up, I do my job, and I go home, and there's no, end goal, end results kind of thing. And I feel like that just kills you sometimes.
Yeah. It kills your thought process. But, bring that up, that kind of, explains my background to a T. Get into that. Growing up, my dad was a coached baseball. So, like, I lived, with a, competitive background. I was brought up by a coach. Like, everything, good dad he was. He also, fathered like a coach. He taught life lessons like a coach. Like, that's what he was good at. And it worked for me personally. And it worked for my siblings as well. Mm-hmm. And it's a good, philosophy for him to live by. And how he teaches like that. Yeah,
definitely. I mean, exactly what you said is, I think parents should be almost like a coach. Like, I see a lot of parents that like try to be friends, and whenever you're friends with your kids, like obviously you want to have a great relationship with your kids, but I feel like the relationships whenever they're friends, there's just a lot of disrespect and stuff like that. And I wish a lot of times like that I would kind of have like that coaching like parent, which my mom was a very strict coach. Yeah. But it's I feel like that's a good philosophy to have. But talking about your background, and you brought that up, we kind of want to know your life story. So from I said I can't start my story without starting where my dad passed away. Let's tell your story, tell you what you feel comfortable with saying, and kind of just go through the whole realm, from point A all the way through high school and college, and to kind of how you got here.
Well, it's a long one, so buckle down.
Okay.
So my story starts from a very young age. A lot of people know this about me, and not a lot of people know this about me, but I am adopted. I was adopted. I was born in Arcadia, DeSoto County, Florida. About, I guess, 45 minutes away from my hometown now, south. But I was put into kind of the foster system right out of the hospital. My parents, they chose to, have me, which I'm very fortunate for that. And they did the mature and responsible thing, and, decided that we probably can't take care of this kid. Mm-hmm. We want to give it a better opportunity. And I was blessed to, be given that opportunity. I went from foster home to foster home, ended up in one in Mulberry, Florida. And then somehow, it's kind of crazy, I ended up in Fort Meade, small town, one red light, in South Polk County. And my foster home is actually 2 minutes. I can see it from my front door I grew up in with my adoptive family, my family. Mm-hmm. It's kind of weird that how things come full circle.
Yeah, for real.
But I was adopted at 3 years old. I moved into the foster home at Fort Meade when I was like around 2. And my parents, unfortunately, my mom had a couple, miscarriages and just couldn't get, everything rolling with that. And she had the opportunity to look into adoption, and just so happened that I moved in right down the street from them. And they came over and, kind of love at first sight, that kind of deal. Like, that's our kid, like, kind of click. And I was adopted. It kind of got finalized when I was 3. I have a tattoo on my arm with my maiden name. So I'll never forget the date I was adopted, May 13th, 2002. So I'll never forget. I was adopted actually right after my brother was born.
Oh, okay.
So he was actually the first, like, kid in the family. He's the oldest child, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was adopted into the family a couple months later. But after that, you know, I just kind of grew up in a great, you know, southern small town household. You know, I try to tell people that Fort Meade is your country music video like town. Like, it literally is. And it's like your Friday Night Lights kind of deal growing up.
Yeah, and when he says, you know, one red light town, there's one red light.
And two traffic, like 2 caution lights.
Yeah.
And like 1 hour out of the week, there's 2 red lights. It's like when they were dismissing kids or something like that. But really small town. I grew up with a, you know, really small family. Learned, you know, kind of the Southern hospitality, all that kind of good stuff. As a kid, learned respect. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. So that kind of gives you some background, like how I was raised. And I started growing up, and I got into sports when I was probably 5 or 6. Started playing t-ball then. And that's where, you know, me and my dad kind of bonded a lot growing up. And that's where a lot of my life lessons were taught. When I was a kid, was on the baseball field.
Of course.
And doing that, I just, you know, grew really close with my dad. It's kind of weird how close we look with me being adopted too.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, also, you and your dad's relationship is very funny because, like, if y'all ever see a picture of Brian, actually, we might have posted one on our Instagram page.
Yeah, maybe.
But there's a picture of Brian and his dad standing right next to each other. I mean, they're like spitting images of each other, and it makes no sense.
The old joke is he gets mad when I say it, but I always tell him, like, you wouldn't have me somewhere else.
Yeah.
And he wouldn't got me.
Yeah. He put you up for adoption and then got your mom to come get you.
Speaking of which, my mom also had a really, really huge impact in my life. She was kind of, you know, the one that kept me in line. You know, I'm a wild kid. I was a wild kid. I'm still a wild person now. I'm a really big personality. I'm really outgoing. I like to, you know, have fun. And, you know, sometimes I don't do the most responsible things, but I like to have fun. And I've always been like that. But my mom, she was more of the kind of disciplinary. You know, my dad was the muscle when he needed to be. My mom was the, you know, you need to do this if you want to, you know, have a good future. You need to do this. You need to do this.
Right.
She kept me in check, helped me a lot in the classroom too, because I was never, even in college, I was never kind of a person that applied myself in the classroom. It just kind of came easily to me, and I kind of took that for advantage. You know, I would never study for tests. I'd walk out with a C+, B-, and be like, all right, sweet.
I passed.
Yeah. And if I would just put in a little effort, probably pull a B or, you know, I just never was that kid. And my mom helped me, you know, find that kind of motivation in high school when I was younger, because I really wanted to go play college baseball. That was my, you know, end-all, be-all as a 15 to 18-year-old. And, you know, that kind of, you know, when you're that young, you don't really think about, you know, what kind of career field do I want to go to? What do I want to do outside of this, you know, outside of this game? It's just, your life is so consumed with the game. It's, how am I going to keep playing?
Yeah, and a lot of people don't think about at all, you know, when you're in high school, they don't, like you said, they don't think about your career. They just kind of expect and hope that baseball is in it, whether they're a coach or, you know, they're still playing at the next level or, you know, something along those lines. They still want to be involved in the game. And so many kids, I feel like once they get to college, they realize they're interested in so many other things too, and which I think will kind of roll into your story as well.
So it's going back to that age. I was so consumed with the game, and you know, I didn't really go out much. I didn't really have the high school experience that, you know, you may have had, or some of our friends have had or speak about. Yeah. I was kind of the kid that, you know, I joke about. I mean, this is a joke, but this is a true, sincere story. I was the only senior in my class on the first period that was there on senior skip day. I'm not kidding at all. You're chuckling, but like that is that's just who I was.
Yeah.
I didn't go out and party, didn't have fun. I was focused on getting good enough grades to go play ball, getting stronger, and playing baseball. So kind of got into the recruiting part, trying to find a college for me, and it wasn't going good. Like I was a junior and, didn't quite develop, into my, stronger body. It didn't start, I had my baby fat for a while, and just didn't have any schools interested in a kid that was 5'10", 195 pounds as a catcher. There's 3 million of those out there.
There are a bunch of them.
Yeah. So I really had to, kind of step back and realize, all right, I want to keep playing. What kind of school is good enough for me? I don't mind going away from Fort Meade. I kind of would like to get out of here and see some things. Mm-hmm. So the opportunity came along. My actual senior year of high school was actually a month after the season ended. My high school season ended, senior year.
Really?
Yeah. I was looking at a lot of JUCOs to go play at because through my adoption, what kind of, the word kind of spreads throughout coaches was I was adopted and I get kind of free state or get free, tuition through state schools, right?
Like in-state tuition.
Yeah. Paid for by the government, by the state. Mm-hmm. And a lot of these coaches would find that out and they would never offer me. They would never give me like any baseball money or anything, Yeah. And as a kid, as a 17-year-old kid, 18-year-old kid, you're looking at that and you're thinking, you're like, man, they don't want me.
Yeah. They
don't want me. They're just trying to find a bullpen catcher and not have to pay for anything.
Yeah. Really though.
And that's kind of the mindset that I took. I didn't think of my future. I didn't think of, I got really good setup here. I probably should use it. Didn't think about it like that. I was, like I said, consumed with the game. And a small school.
I think I would have been the same way though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, if a school comes to you and you're like, oh, we're not going to give you any money because you'll get it like this.
You wouldn't believe how many times I heard, we'd like to give you a preferred walk-on spot. Like at a state school, like a JUCO or something here. We'd like to give you a preferred walk-on spot. Screw that, man.
Sorry, if you don't want me enough.
Yeah, I want to be your guy, man. I want to be the guy that comes in and catches the Friday and Saturday. I had that dog in me.
Or at least they need to make it known and be like, hey, we can save money and build a team around you because you have this setup. You are adopted and you can use this amount of money and it'll cover your school. And we want to build a team around you and to bring everybody together. We can put more money to somebody else and your school still be paid for. And if they wanted you like that, that's the way they should have went about it.
And I never had a coach that was so transparent. None of them would say that.
Yeah.
And, I think, I would have been okay with that if a coach told me that. I'd be like, all right, that makes sense. All right, where do we move forward? But nobody ever did. Mm-hmm. But I had this small school come forward out of, I guess it's its own little community. It's got an Ave Maria address. Mm-hmm. But it's the best way I can describe it is Naples, Southwest Florida. Yeah. And it's about 20 minutes outside of Naples, like you're driving in towards the state.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out a way to explain it too. It's
just in the middle of nowhere, but it's such a nice place.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just like I don't want to use that word.
It's like it's a cult. It looks like a cult. It's like a little cult community. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's not like a cult. No, like people like a negative connotation, but it's like it's literally there's nothing around it, and then all of a sudden, boom, there's like this whole city,
and it's so perfect.
Yeah, and the college is in the middle of it, and you got your restaurants and everything. It's almost like a really big shopping mall in the middle of nowhere.
Yes, and it's like a little tiny utopia. It's like everything's St. Augustine grass, everything's manicured, all the sidewalks are always clean,
It's gated community, houses on the stuff.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I'm coming out of little old Fort Meade as a 18-year-old kid. Well, Ave Maria is like 40 minutes from the beach. I love going to the beach. I love going fishing. I love, we'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Like all that stuff. And I see this beautiful campus. I see this big, beautiful library where I'm in my head. Like, I'm going to spend a lot of hours in there.
Man.
Yeah.
You're in college, bud.
Exactly. But I'm like, yeah, this is the place. This is my spot. This is what I work for. So I committed, signed, went through the whole summer and worked out. So I signed for this coach, and literally 3 weeks later, the coaching staff leaves completely.
I didn't know that.
Guy takes the job. He takes his job up at a D3 up in New York. He was like, it's the school he played at. So I don't blame the coach for him.
Oh no, he got his,
Yeah, he got his gig. And so I didn't know what was going to happen. I was sitting there in limbo, like, man, is my scholarship going to be withheld? Like, I got this pretty little email from the school saying that my scholarship's going to be, upheld with the new coach. But like, is this new coach going to even, is this guy going to consider me a fit for his program?
Right.
So a lot of questions going in. We get this new coach, comes in, whatever. Good guy, not the greatest coach. I don't want to really talk about that. But start school. I start off kind of good, believe it or not. I'm there to play baseball, kind of the same kid, same kid. And, I started making friends and started, making networks and connections and meeting people. And I liked it. Mm-hmm. I liked it. I liked the attention. I liked the fun. I liked the going out. And those 2 years that I spent there at Ave Maria, it's the quickest / 2 blurriest years of my life. But I'm so thankful because, I had experiences down there. I had love that didn't work out, that taught me how to bounce back from it. I had, I failed a drug test down there. I talked about that in the episode with Coach Sykes. Big turning point, big figure it out, big responsibility moment in my life. And, I found myself kind of found out who I was by going away from everything I'm accustomed to. And that was so beneficial because, I got this big, bold personality. I got this want to meet people. I got this want to see things. And I took that from Ave. So, like I said, I mentioned I failed a drug test. So that was kind of my last straw at Ave. I was there. I wasn't kind of the smartest kid. I did enough just to get by in the classroom, but I was there to have fun, kind of. I went away from home for the first time and just didn't know how to handle it. So I had strikes 2, 3. This drug test was seemed like 9. And it was just time for me to find a new home, time for me to, plant new roots and try to figure this out. So after I failed my drug test, I came back home to little old Fort Meade, and my dad was pissed. I'm not going to lie. He couldn't even look at me. Thought I kind of ruined my career. Mom was very upset. Didn't think I was going to make anything kind of myself at that point. Mm-hmm. So I got punished, dude. I got volunteered kind of.
As you should.
Yeah.
As parents being parents.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't blame them for it. If that was my kid, hell yeah, I'm doing the same thing they did to me.
Yeah.
So I got punished. I kind of got, volunteered / put into work. I got paid for the work. So
this I've had that happen to me too.
Yeah. So I got this job for this summer at, I believe it's a place called Ray Bob Groves out here in Alturas near where we record. And
Ray Bob.
Yeah, that's what it was called. And he had, he already had a hand there that kind of used all the big heavy machinery, and they were having a problem with leaking lines. It was hot summer Florida, and all the poly pipe, that plastic pipe that you see underneath orange trees, it was all busted and all leaking, and they needed a guy to fix it. So you know what that entails.
Guess who's the guy?
Yeah. So I was the guy, and I got paid, I think $9.90 an hour. And I had to work from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m., sun up to sundown, Monday through Friday. And sometimes I had to come in on Saturdays too, no exceptions. But that whole summer I was on my hands and knees cutting plastic piping, spraying water, irrigation underneath dusty orange trees all summer. So we kind of figured it out in my life it's time to change. It's time to figure it the hell out. So in my head, I'm not done playing baseball. It kind of goes back to, you're going to find a way to keep playing. Mm-hmm. So I started reaching out to schools all over the state. I kind of wanted to stay in state so I could kind of keep my head on my shoulders and kind of stay close to my family. And I wanted them to watch me play. It kind of sucked going away for 2 years. They got to go to 9 of my games. So I have a really good game. I had my first college hit and they weren't there. So it was stuff like that I didn't want him to miss. So I really wanted to watch him my junior or my senior year. So I had the tough decision to deciding where to go to school because all the schools in Florida are the same conference as Ave. So the rule is if you transfer within the conference. NAI. Yeah, in the NAI. If you transfer within the conference, you have to sit out a year. So, me knowing me, I wasn't good enough to go play at a D2, right? Didn't have the numbers to go play at a D2. And I already burned all my JUCO years. So it was either go find a 4-year out of state to go play right away or find a 4-year here and sit. So I kind of bit the bullet and I found Warner. Reached out to Coach Sykes over the summer. He offered me. I played against him. He saw what I could do. He's like, I'd really like you to come here. So I transferred in. Thank God they let me in. I had a 1.9 when I came here. Like, not a lot of people know that, but I had a 1.9 getting in. And I worked my ass off in the classroom. I kind of got lazy at the end, kind of regret it. But
I don't. I got that piece of paper sitting right over
Yeah,
there.
I got mine too. But when I got to Warner, it just changed. Everything just kind of changed. I got on the baseball team there, and I fit in with the team. When I was at Ave, there was a lot of guys from the Miami area or a lot of guys from, out of state, bigger schools. Wasn't nobody from Polk County. There wasn't no good old boys, we call us. And I got to Warner, I'm like, damn, there's like 13 other dudes here that talk just like me. This is going to be fun again.
So a little side note on that. When I came to Warner, same idea popped into my head, and actually one of Brian and I old roommates, Garrett, he followed me on Instagram, and he was like, so I was looking at people. This was coming into his freshman year. He was like, I was looking for people like, for instance, good old boys like Brian was talking about, because Warner's full of them. We've probably got 15, 16 of them. And he was like, I was looking for him, and I saw you, and I saw a picture of a hog, and I knew we were going to be good friends ever since I seen that. Ended up living with the guy for 2 years too. Yeah. But
so I was like, man, okay, cool. So I really grew tight with the guys. I met you. Yeah. And, we were kind of close my first year. We didn't, our paths didn't really cross yet. We knew of each other. We talked to each other at practice.
I mean, we were on the same team, but we didn't have any classes or anything.
Well, back then I was commuting each day too.
Yeah.
Like my parents didn't want to pay for me to
live
live
somewhere.
That
was a big thing.
Yeah.
Like if you're a commuter, you don't you're friends with everybody, but you don't
have the moments.
If you're on campus or live 5 minutes from it, you spend a lot of time with each other outside of class.
And I knew that from being at Ave. Like I knew
obviously,
I knew how good of a bond you have with your teammates when you actually live on campus or nearby campus.
Yeah. Just sitting around and be like, hey, let's go play basketball or come play Fortnite or whatever.
Yeah. So I kind of liked Warner. I loved Warner. And I didn't know what I wanted to study, because when I was at Ave, I had this whole idea I was going to be a strength coach and coach baseball, so consumed the game. Over it. The coach down there kind of made me think like, hey man, baseball ain't it? Like baseball ain't it? It's not everything. Mm-hmm. And I had to kind of struggle to find, something to fill that, other than baseball, what am I going to do? So I came to Warner and I was like, screw it. We live in Polk County and there ain't nothing but orange trees and cows around here. So I'm going to get an ag degree. Hated it.
I forgot you were an ag major.
Hated it. It was terrible. I worked in Fort Meade. I worked in the Groves. I've done the agriculture stuff.
It's definitely for a select.
Yeah, not for me.
Few.
Not for me.
Being that I got that degree.
So I was kind of lost. And I'm walking down campus one day at Warner. And, dude, this guy walks by me. He's got his ears are pierced, his shirt's unbuttoned. He's a shorter, older man. He's looked like he's got rocker, t-shirt on underneath his button-down shirt. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And he walks into his office, and right in front of me, I look at the door, it says communications. I'm like, well, I wonder what that is. So I go home, and I look up on my phone that night, like, what is communications? Mm-hmm. And I read it. And I'm like, damn, I like all that shit.
Sign me up.
Yeah. So the next day, I go back to Warner, and I walk in this guy's office, and my life changed forever. Mm-hmm. Forever. So, hey, sir, nice to meet you. My name's Brian Spradlin. He looks at me. He goes, don't call me sir, bro. Just like that. Don't call me sir.
I'll tell my story about Craig in a second.
Don't call me sir. And I'm like, he said, my name's Dr. Craig. What can I do? I'm like, well, Mr. Craig. He said, Dr. Craig. Joking, right? I was like, oh, Dr. Craig. And he's like, I'm just joking. So, but it stuck with me. I called him Dr. Craig the rest of the time.
Yeah.
I still call him it. And I got to talking, and I was like, he's like, what do you brings you in here? He was like, kind of read about communications. I like it. He's like, what do you like about it? What do you want to do? I said, I really want to be on the radio one day. Like, I really want to do some radio stuff. And he's like, really? I was like, yeah. And we kind of bonded over that.
Mm-hmm.
Because Warner had a radio station and nobody knew about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they had a radio, like a Warner radio. Nobody knew about it. So for a whole semester, after I met Craig and after I got in the communications program, started learning, I kind of got into, this stuff, like this stuff.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I was consumed by it. So my junior year of college, I started what I called Sprad Sports Talk on Warner Radio. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m., I was on the Warner Radio. I think maybe 4 people listen.
Yeah, I was always wondering. You were always talking about that, and I didn't even know how to listen. I didn't know if that was like. Can you go into that? Explain the Warner Radio a little bit more.
So it was like literally this room that's not even half as big as our studio, right?
That's right.
And Dr. Craig always had a thing for like vinyl records. We have a record player right here behind the camera that we hang out and listen to a lot of music with. And Dr. Craig loves records. So he always wanted to get Warner into things like college radio day.
Mm-hmm.
And he liked that kind of stuff. He liked the radio. And he liked Vinyl-thon. So I walk into this cool little tiny ass room, and there's this switchboard and there's this computer, and I look on there and there's just thousands of songs downloaded on this computer. And it's playing live. And I'm like, Dr. Craig, what's going on with this? This is like 2 days after I committed into the communications program. And I'm like, what is going on here? And he's like, this is the radio room. I was like, dude, this is awesome. I was like, I want to spend every second.
Yeah, I never saw it.
Oh, man, I'll have to take you by.
Yeah. We'll have to do an episode in there.
Yeah, you have to get, dude. So you walk in and there's like, all on this table over here, there's just records everywhere.
Sign me up.
Everywhere. And then on the back wall, everywhere. Just bins and bins and bins of records. Because Warner Radio does this thing called Vinyl-thon where all day, 24 hours, a bunch of like big time college radio stations like at like Harvard, Florida, like all over the country participate in this thing called Vinyl-thon. All they do all day long is broadcast vinyl records from their radio station. And each hour in the 24 hours, a different like stations picked up by the TuneIn app, which what everything's run through.
Yeah.
And so you participate in that. And you never know when Warner's like record's going to be played. Huh. So you just play records all day. Anyways, I'm sorry I got in that rabbit hole. I walk into this room and I fall in love, and I become a communications major, and I'm just so hungry to learn about everything. And then literally 2 weeks later, I get the opportunity, not 2 weeks later, 2 months later. I'm kind of fast forwarding because we just practiced and stuff during that. I did my little radio show. I didn't live on campus yet. 2 months later, I get the opportunity to move into a house with Garrett and you. Also a moment that changed my life forever. Literally. Like you could say it too. And so I move in right at the beginning of the second semester of my junior year. And instantly it's just we kind of clicked, me and you. I don't know, it was just kind of weird. We were opposites, but we attract. We maybe said like 30 words to each other the first 2 weeks we lived there, but once we actually started talking, we're like, damn, he's a good guy. I like talking to him.
It's funny how me and Brian's relationship works, because it's like we joking around all the time, but we know our personalities so well. It's like people will look on the outside and be like, well, that was kind of mean, but we're both like laughing at each other. Yeah. Like, shut up, Brian. And then we both just start laughing.
And people don't get it. Like, people don't get our relationship, but I don't care. Yeah. We're us.
It's a very different personality or relationship, and it's very, you just have to understand. Yeah.
So start living there. Man, I can't tell you how we have so many stories at that place that, I think about a lot. Like the parties and the fun times, the bad times, the ugly times. but mostly good. So we move out, and I didn't know really what I wanted to do. I had this job opportunity with NASCAR, right, in Daytona. It was to go be a ticket sales account, person.
What Riley was doing actually.
Yeah.
On the NASCAR sales associate.
I think it's like episode 6 or 7.
I think it's 8. But
8, yeah. It was literally his position at the time. And I, applied for the job. I got through the whole interview process, and they offered me the job. They said, "Hey, Brian, we'd like you to be an employee here at NASCAR." And, I was like, sweet, I'm in. Like, just offer it. Didn't even give time to I'm in. Didn't think about anything else. Well, about that time, I kind of had a crossroad in my life where I met somebody really special to me. And, I just had a calling that, it just wasn't meant to be, to go over there right then and there. Just something just didn't feel right about it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of sad for a while after that. Looking for jobs, things just didn't work out. It's kind of past the hiring period, that little short hiring period after college graduates, that businesses have. Mm-hmm. It was kind of past that. So it was just kind of in a lull. Couldn't really find anything. And, my buddy Brian Danforth approached me, and he owned, a apparel business, and like he makes apparel for people, and a beach apparel business. Like he has a brand.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me to come work for him and help him with social media marketing and advertising and do it for him. I'm tired. He kind of said, "I'm tired of the headache with this stuff. I'm done with it. Come work for me. You can do whatever you want. You can build as much experience. It's all in you. It is your stuff."
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, it's not a bad idea that, I can build some experience with things I like. I like to do social media. I wasn't kind of sold on it like I am now. I was like, that'd be cool. It'd be good for me. I'll do it. So I took a job with him and Twisted Tides Apparel, which is in my bio. Check it out if y'all ever go on Instagram. Got some cool shirts and hats. And I started getting into, videography and making, quick little shorts for the apparel brand and marketing and stuff like that. I kind of had a knack for it. Mm-hmm. I kind of like the days that it led me to. My job started leading me to, days out in the boat, fishing, getting videos of people in shirts.
Yeah, you love the saltwater, so
yeah.
You can market something with something that you love doing.
Yeah, and it started leading me to cool days and cool ideas, and I got to start making graphics and started learning more how to do clear videos, and I taught myself a lot through this job. I still work there, and I enjoy it. And, I love social media. This is what the jobs help me find. I love videoing stuff. I love getting cool shots. I love doing all kinds of stuff. So, were you about to comment?
No, you're good.
Oh, no. So, I got into that, and, I love it. Right now, I get to go to do, boat shows. Like you came down. It's on our TikTok. Last weekend, we went to Isla Mirada, or 2 weekends ago.
Yeah.
And did a show down there. So for work, I got to go down to Isla Mirada, the Florida Keys, and, sell stuff and meet all kinds of different people that I can't wait to bring on the show. Like,
I want to say a little side note on that. So we go, Brian... So I asked Brian, this was for his birthday. The week of the boat show, or weekend of the boat show Saturday was for his birthday. And so earlier in the week, I asked Brian, I said, "Brian, what are you doing this weekend?" And he was like, "Well, I don't know yet. Like, I'm trying to figure it out." I was like, "Okay, well, I'm trying to figure out my plans. I got the opportunity to go to this place, or I got the opportunity to go over here." I was like, "But I'm not going to cancel out. It's on your birthday, so let me know what you're doing so I can figure out my plans. And if you're going to be, sitting on your butt, then I guess I'll go sit on." Not on your butt, but I guess I'll go sit on my butt with you.
Yeah.
And so he was like, "Actually, I think I got to go work." And I was like, "Well, that's lame." He was like, and I was like, where you got to go this weekend?" He goes, "Isla Mirada." And I said,
I was like, not so lame, is it?
So wait a minute. And so Chelsea, my roommate, I was like, "Hey, you want to go to Isla Mirada this weekend?" And she's like, "Well, that's kind of short night." So I was like, "Let's just look at some rooms." And she's like, "Okay." So we book a room, and I text Brian. I said, "Yeah, we got a room. We're headed down." He's like, "Heck yeah!" He was like, he was super excited. And so we drive down after work Friday. and wake up Saturday, and keep in mind, Brian's got to work.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I don't work for this company.
Yeah. You're there to have a little mini vacay.
Yeah. And so Chelsea and I woke up, toured around the town a little bit, show up to the show that he was working at about 2:00. And I was like, hey, bud, happy birthday. And
hey, guys. It's hot.
Do we? Well, no, we're not gonna tell that story. So yeah, we ended up going to dinner for his birthday and everything, and I mean, I had an absolute blast. Like, yes. I think that was one of that and the MGK concert was probably the two most fun times probably and I have had together.
Yeah, I agree.
And I mean, it was. I think honestly, the whole weekend we go down there for Brian's birthday. But I think the amount of time that Brian and I actually spent together because he was working the other part was 4
hours.
Yeah,
max.
Like I saw him for an hour at the show, and then probably 3-4 hours at dinner in the bar.
Yeah. I mean, that's good friends if you can't tell. I have some
but
damn good friends. It was a great time though. We made so many It
wasn't like I was gonna go sit at the boat show all day.
Yeah,
and
I wouldn't expect you to either. But I'm so thankful for being able to get opportunities through Twisted Tides. It's helped me find my passion with my video, editing and videography.
Yeah.
I started going out on boats and I started, I'm gonna try this angle. Oh, that was really cool. I'm gonna try this. Oh shit, that was even cooler. And then it started turning into, all right, well, I'm gonna hang off the boat here. Hand me a rope. I'm going to get the shot. Yeah. Start turning into stuff like that.
Exactly.
And I don't know. I just got into it, and I have so many more plans that I'm looking forward to getting into. I want to get into underwater videoing and scuba diving and GoPro.
My
and
stuff's
stuff like
coming
that.
soon.
Yeah.
Trust me, I understand.
And
I know you can agree with me on that. And just a little side note, like about videography and like capturing stuff. And because I know you and I are both, you're a little bit more experience with it in terms of the podcast. Brian does all our stuff, but I know you and I both have a huge interest in kind of like videography. Yeah. Once you kind of get a little like a taste, it is hard to get off it. Like, yeah. I mean, and it's a drug, and it's bad because videography stuff is expensive. And so you can rack up
$3,000 quick.
Oh,
quick,
very easily, quick. Like very easily.
If you want to have something semi-decent to work with.
Well, yeah. I mean, let alone you pull up a laptop, middle line laptop, you got $500.
Yeah.
And so middle of the line, I'm an Apple guy. I know you're an Apple guy, so you want your Max or you want whatever. Yeah. So that's $1,300-$1,400. Then you get a camera and you're like, well, I like this one, but this one's a lot cooler. Mm-hmm. So there's another $800, and it's just like it's an addiction. Bad.
It is. But like the addiction leads to so many cool things.
Oh right? Yeah, the amount of like stuff that you can come up with, it's like,
and that's we have a little script here, and it says what's my job entail, and that's my job entails creativity.
Yeah.
And it's a good job that I have right now because it gives me the free time to have creativity with this, but also gives me free time and experience with social media to go out and have creativity out in a boat, or when I do get to travel, have the fortune, which I actually have got to a lot recently, I have more creativity because of my job, that I get cooler angles, cooler shots now. So
definitely along the same lines as you're saying, like you're out in the boat and you get to be creative and stuff like that. I've told people a lot. It almost stunk, growing up, because I was always in the outdoors and I thought it was amazing. I thought it was beautiful. And I was just like, I wish everybody in the world could see this moment right now. And I pull out my phone and I take a picture and it looks like crap.
Man.
And I was
crazy.
Like, dang it. I was like, I don't understand. Why does it look so good and my damn phone won't pick it up? And then I started getting into it. And it's like, wait a minute.
It's a rabbit hole.
Do that. Yeah. And it's like, you could, like, for instance, with TikTok and stuff like that, and you can start making things look like you're seeing them. And so it's like almost to the point where it's like, I finally have captured this moment that I saw that I can share with the world.
Yeah.
You get what I mean?
Yeah. And I think, I think we touched on it not too long ago. When you start getting into the videography stuff, I think I remember saying that, people are scared, or, it's kind of hard to get into because it's hard to learn.
Oh, there's so much stuff to learn.
But once you start learning and you start seeing your results and you start seeing what you can start doing, it becomes addicting. Like, where I started, the videos that I started making, I'm like, oh.
I understand.
Like, and then some of the stuff that I put out now, I'm like, all right, I'm pretty proud of that. You know, I still have a lot of work to do, and I still have a lot of improving to do. And, you know, there's only so much time today.
Trust me, I say it all the time.
But, like, branching off that, you know, my future plans, I kind of I want to get into, you know, bigger jobs with that field, you know, whether it be me trying to, you know, self-independently contract videos one day for brands, like trying to be a scuba diver video camera off of Tampa Bay. Like, I don't know. Like, I just don't know what my future plans are.
Have you ever thought about like a social media marketing firm? Because I know
I've looked into it.
There's a lot. Actually, I had a professor. I don't know if you've ever had him. He was at Warner for I think about a year or 2 years, and it was Professor Neptune. Remember him?
I've heard of him.
That man. Like, that was my spark for marketing. Yeah. Like, in terms of, like, kind of like how you can, not necessarily videography, but the way that you can phrase something and put it out into the world and make people interested in it.
Yeah.
Dude, the guy was awesome. Like, I still have his college email because
We should get him on.
Great idea. It's because I don't know that he'll ever remember me. I wasn't in class very much, but this probably doesn't go along with my point of saying he was awesome, but like every time I was there, I was like, wait a minute, I need to come back more.
And that's how I feel about, you know, Craig. Yeah, I think it's really cool how Warner has given us people that we'll never forget and affected us weirdly. And in the longer run, it's really cool. But, you know, I'm really passionate about that stuff, and that kind of brings me to here. You know, I started working at Twisted Tides, got into the videography, got into the marketing, and you know the story after that. Me and Nate kind of got bored with the limited amount of free time that we had for some reason. And we were both, you know, we decided to start the podcast. And, you know, I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. You know, that was kind of one of my other rules to live by, you know, that I mentioned earlier. Yeah. You know, everything happens for a reason. And whether you may not know it right then and there, and you might doubt why it happened, happens. And it's going to, the result, it may teach you something, it may benefit you, it may hurt you. But it's, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be something that you grow from.
Oh, no, definitely.
And that's just kind of where I am right now. I'm still growing, still learning, still finding my passions, believe it or not. Who knows what I might dig my fingers into next week or find that I might like out, you know. And my future plans, just keep videoing shit. Just keep talking into microphones.
And you know what I really like about this whole podcast, as from like a selfish version. You know, obviously I would love to make money. I would love, you know, I love entertaining y'all. Yeah. But like for my, you know, personal reasons, I think it's very cool, one, to record stuff, two, to put a voice to it, because, you know, we're not promised tomorrow. For instance, like if, you know, if I die 6 months from now and we've got over a year's worth of my voice on thing, and I could leave a legacy behind.
People are going to know who you are.
Exactly. And so people can go back and be like, man, I really miss that guy. And he could pull up my videos. Now imagine if we did this for 40 years.
Oh my god.
What kind of impact that could have on somebody's life.
Or the people, or the paths that we would cross. You know, on my way here today, I was listening to a Joe Rogan episode. I was actually going to send you a screenshot of it. He was talking, this is the guy, Russell Brand. Get him to Greek. You know who I'm talking about. Long, black hair. I think he's from, I don't want to get it wrong because I might get fried for it, but he's from like the UK area. I'm trying to think of another movie. Along Came Polly. Maybe he was, no, I don't think he was in that.
Anyways,
they were talking about, Joe was talking about reflecting on the podcast and how everything from his podcast is natural growth, right? Follow me here. It's kind of weird how I'm going to connect these dots. He talks about how he never told anybody, hey, watch my podcast. You know, everything was kind of word of mouth. He's like, I just kind of did this. I just kind of did it. And like, he was explaining, he's like, I've had really smart people on, from people with PhDs who have stared at stars to people who've been in submarines. And he's like, to having my friends on who are comedians being tripped out on shrooms. Like, yeah, he said that, like, and he was like, I don't know, I kind of like that about his show, right? Yeah. And he was talking about how he has learned so much and he's crossed so many paths, and that's just kind of what I want to do here too. You know, I don't want to do it to the same extent of having the famous guests, the famous people. We're doing the right thing with the right people we're having on now.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
we
would also love.
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
We'd love.
We want to have the marquee guests and marquee names.
Yeah.
I think everybody does. But what we're doing now is kind of cool because we're getting people's stories out there who didn't think to themselves, my story may not be worth telling, but it is.
Yeah.
It is. There's so many people out there. Hannah shouted us out last episode, and I really want to thank her on this episode for saying what she did, like how you guys are doing a cool thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I just hearing stuff like that is what keeps me going with this. And I know you talked about what keeps you going on the last episode. So my goal in this thing is to make as many connections in as many different fields as possible and to learn about anything and everything and just take in every story that anybody's willing to tell me in that black chair over there.
Definitely.
And that's what I want to do with this. That's been my goal from the start, is just to talk to people and get their story.
Man, I feel like I know a whole new Brian, because I knew all of Brian's life story and everything like that, but like there's hearing Brian saying it from from point A to point Z.
Bug in my eye, right?
It's all right. Oh, dang, I thought we were about to have the second time.
No.
But getting Brian's whole story and being able to, sit back and kind of listen to it. I mean, I didn't have to ask very many questions. You just kind of hit it on the nail.
Well, I'm so glad that you went first last week, because it kind of gave me an outline to go with and how to do it. Because I let you sit back and I let you tell your story too, Yeah. And I expected the same thing tonight. So I was sitting here preparing all day because I knew we were recording this tonight. I was freaking myself out. I'm like, how am I going to make my freaking life sound cool? And I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit if it's cool or not to people. My life is my life, and I have some damn good stories. I have some damn good friends, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Well, speaking of which, we ask these snap questions every single week to kind of get to know you as a person, even though this whole episode we got to know you as a person. But I want to put you in some weird, crazy situations, Brian.
Yes. Okay.
You are a big conspiracy theorist.
I like to wear a tinfoil hat every now and then.
And I'm not saying that you necessarily believe all of them.
No.
But I want to know what your favorite conspiracy theory is.
Okay. So, we talked about it earlier in an episode, and I talked about the Federal Reserve, the money. Well, that's my boring one because you have to really read about that. But my overall, favorite one, dude, aliens.
Are you talking about the aliens built the pyramid style? Or
no,
just
I'm talking about
they're
here.
Living upon us.
Not necessarily living upon us. I don't know. I just would like to know what's out there. If there is a civilization out there, what could they do to help us here?
Actually, I seen, and I don't know if you saw that. You might have been the one that sent it to me. That there was another inhabitable planet in another galaxy.
Yeah. There's dude, the NASA's found I think it's some crazy amount of planets now that are in the so-called green zone, which is what Earth is in. What's the habitable zone? What's planets are in this range that can form water or whatever. To have life, they're everywhere. Planets like that are everywhere. So what's to say that a civilization just like ours didn't start 3 million years before us out there somewhere, and they're out there searching for their companions?
What if they started 3 or however long after us?
Yeah,
and there's only 100 living people on
their planet, and they need help. It's crazy to think what all could be out there. And I'm on TikTok a lot, and I like conspiracies, so my algorithm feeds me conspiracies. And I kind of taken a new approach to social media, working with it as I can do a post and ghost. And the only time I really get on TikTok is when I'm really, really just tired and I just want to fall asleep. And I watch a couple of videos and I'll fall asleep, but it's a lot of stuff with aliens. Man, all that UFO stuff, the government's confirmed it. They're here. They just don't know if it's people, different countries are building these things, or if they're coming from a different solar system. It's crazy to think, because man, I'm a firm believer in the Bible. People are gonna be like, well, how do you justify that? Well, in the Bible, God created the heavens and the earth. When you look up, that's the heavens, dude.
Yeah.
Who knows what's out there and what God's put out there for us to find and to learn from and to, use? It's just, I think everybody is so caught up on, well, that's bullcrap because, we're the only ones here. No way. I don't think there's no way.
There's a lot of things that the Bible doesn't necessarily say, but it's like, I feel like a lot of times, like with the Bible, I feel like God doesn't say it because it's not necessary for you to know.
Yes.
And so like, he doesn't go along Golgotha or whatever planet out there that there's another, human force that's living out there. Not saying that there is or there isn't, but there's, I feel like there's a lot of times where in the Bible that God is very vague about things. And it's not necessarily because like to kind of keep it vague, but it's kind of like there's a bigger point here. Look at the bigger point, not the,
it's kind
don't
of
worry
a
about the other
need to know
stuff.
basis.
Yeah, exactly.
I get what you're saying.
I think it's cool.
I think that's my favorite conspiracy because you just think about it though, like how much they could, like if a civilization could travel through space and have that technology and bring it here, imagine how much shit would change and how much better
We'd
off.
be zooming.
Oh my! How much better off this planet would be. We could we could save it. Like we literally save the planet. But that's my favorite conspiracy because it branches off into so many different things.
So tell me what your dream vehicle is.
Okay. So, like, I'm not a big, I would like to have a fancy sports car, but I think I'd like it for like 3 days. So I think my dream vehicle is honestly, I'm a sucker for like a 2013, like F-150, like that just older body. But listen to me, if I could find that 2013 with like 2,000 miles on it, just one that's just brand new out there, that's just mine, I'd drive the wheels off that thing.
I could see you like, you just picture me as like if you ever had the point where you like made really good money and you were to buy a vehicle, I could just see you like in a Land Rover or a G-Wagon.
No.
You just picture me as like,
I'd have a Jeep.
I can see that.
But I think like
I thought you were into cars a whole lot more. That's why I asked this question.
I like NASCAR. Like I am into like, turning wrenches and I like learning how cars go fast. But like I'm not into owning fast cars because I know, dude, I can barely drive the truck I have now, and I drive a Ranger because I drive for some reason on highways I drive slow as hell. I'm in no hurry.
Yeah,
on
Reagan
back roads, I haul ass.
I was in the back seat, and Reagan, Brian's girlfriend, was in the front seat the other day, and he's talking to us, and we both looked down and be like, "Man, hurry up!" We looked down, he's going 38 and a 60. Like, he's just, like, cruising, talking. It wasn't like he was distracted. He was just having a conversation, driving. And these cars are... And I'm like, what is going on? 38 miles an hour and a 60 mile an hour. I was like, we were both like, hurry up. Like let's go.
But you know what? Like, I don't know. That's how I used to be a bad Idaho when I started driving, though. But, like...
I drive like grandpa, too. Don't worry.
I just enjoy going... listen to my music. But that's my dream vehicle though, because if I could have like that truck, I just like that old, it's not older looking because it's kind of modern looking truck, but it's still got that kind of like square kind of solid edges to it where it's a good looking truck. Yeah, and then if I could like put some rims and some good tires on it, it's an older looking truck, but I'd make it a cool looking truck.
Hell yeah. Pancakes or waffles?
Waffles. And the only
You're a
reason,
Waffle House guy?
The only reason I say that is because growing up, my parents didn't never get to drop me off at school. So I used to always have to go to my grandma's house in the mornings because my parents had to be at we didn't start till 8 and they had to be there at 7. Yeah. So I'd walk over to my grandma's house and every morning I'd get there, I'd have some Eggo waffles with some peanut butter and some syrups waiting on me, son.
Eggo waffles slapped, dude.
Yes.
They were so good.
Yes.
Just a little butter on there. Ooh. Did you ever get the ones with cinnamon in them?
I tried them out a couple times, but I never got to buy them. My grandma always. When grandma finds out you like something, you're gonna get the same thing over and over and over.
So we would get blueberry ones. There's blueberry ones. There was cinnamon ones. There was your typical regular. There's a couple different flavors. Oh, Don't get me started on the toaster strudels. Those were so damn good.
See, what you got in variety, I made up for, because you see how I said Monday through Thursday I got Eggos, right?
Yeah, what'd you get Friday, Brian?
Every Friday, my grandma, that lovely lady, I'm a grandma's boy if you can't tell, she would send my papa or her, she would go, and she would get us McDonald's every
Fire me
Friday.
up. Little bacon, egg, and cheese McGriddle.
Chicken biscuit, either it was a chicken biscuit, sausage biscuit, or a sausage McGriddle.
Heck yeah.
And just remember that. So waffles and sausage McGriddles.
I love it. Sausage McGriddle. Exactly. All right, buddy. So I think this is our last question for you.
Yes, it is.
What is your dream place to live? If you go anywhere in the world, where are you plopping down, bud?
Okay.
And if you say Fort Meade, Florida, I'm going to kick you off of this couch.
Yeah, exactly. My parents would laugh if I said that. Everybody knows I don't want to live in my hometown. No knock against it. It's just I'm good. That's everything it has to offer.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I could say I could sell out and be like, yeah, I'd like to live on the beach and go fishing every day. Yeah. But, I've gotten into hunting recently a lot. Like, I like it a lot. And, I don't want to just sell out and move somewhere where I can't hunt and I can't fish. But, like, if I could, let's say it's a dream, right?
The Carolinas got both of them.
I was thinking that, but hear me out. It's a dream, right? My dream.
Yeah.
So, I'm moving to Hawaii. On the smallest island there.
I forgot you were telling me about this.
I hunt axis deer and catch lifeless amounts of tuna. And I'm bringing all of my family with me and all the important people around me with me. And we're all going to live on the island. And we're just going to hunt axis deer and catch fish. And we're just going to all live. That's my dream place to live.
come home from work one day, and I'm like dog tired, and I'm like half awake. And Brian walks up to me. He's like, "You want to go axis deer hunting in Hawaii?" And I'm like, I just like this zombie of a face turns and look at Brian and be like, "What did you just say to me?" And nothing against the idea. I just, one, didn't realize there were axis. I'm a big hunter myself. I didn't know there were deer in Hawaii. And two, I was like, how am I gonna get there?
Well, they apparently the settlers brought them there like a long time ago, and they just got on the smallest island and populated it like crazy.
Kind of like the Keys deer down in.
But like the population's out of control. It's like 10-1 deer to people.
I didn't know that.
So it's open season year round. It's like cheap permits to go, and you get to keep whatever you harvest. Like if you go harvest one per day, it's coming back with you, bud. Like,
oh yeah, you're eating that every single day.
Exactly. And like it was such a cheap like permit cost. The hardest part's getting out there. I was like, we'll figure out a way to get out there. We'll find a way to get out there.
Is there an airport?
Yeah. That's how people get in and off the island.
Well, on that island.
Yeah, like it's a small airport. Like you fly into the big like tourism airport, like obviously, and you would get on a smaller plane and fly into the smaller airport.
That's why I was wondering if there was like a big airplane or airport. But no, I'd definitely be interested in trying to figure that out.
Think about that story we could tell our grandkids one day.
Yeah.
I had to plan that one out too.
Maybe we'll have to save up some of this Rule 1 money and be able to go out there and shoot some content, do a couple podcast videos, maybe get a hula girl on here. And
do some like cool dives too.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Right?
But man, I appreciate, you opening up and telling your story. I've learned a lot from it, and I appreciate hearing your interest, and I think it kind of gives us a little better insight who you are as a person, and I know that was kind of our goal whenever we wanted to do these 2 single episodes.
Yeah, John inspired us.
Yeah, and just to be able to get your story out there, one, it feels good for yourself to be like, I kind of opened up, let it out. I don't know how personally.
No,
how you feel
good.
Yeah,
I felt good to get off my chest, to be honest.
Yeah, and just kind of like tell the world about yourself. Brian and I say we're open books. You can read our covers, whatever, everything, whatever, inside and out. This is how we are.
All of it.
Yeah. So if you walk up to us and recognize us or whatever, and walk up to us and be like, "Hey, you're the guys from the podcast," we're exactly then as we are now on the mic. So it's like, "Hey, how are you doing?"
The same person whenever you meet us.
But if obviously y'all know Brian's social media, y'all can look him up in the comments or in the description box, and our Instagram, everything like that. That's Rule 1 Podcast. We are on YouTube, Snapchat, Instagram, any social media you can think of, we're on it. So y'all make sure you like and subscribe on Spotify and YouTube.
Yeah. It helps us out big time, the algorithms. And, guys, if you're out there and you have a cool story to tell and you're in a cool job position, or, you had some big life events happen and you want to talk about it, reach out, man. DM us, email us. All of our connects are out there. Every description box has our social media, all of our socials, all of our emails, our personal emails too in it, too.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's very easy to get in contact with us.
Contact us.
Reach out. We're on our stuff every single day. So
yeah. Well, that was fun. That was
man.
fun.
I appreciate you, Brian, and we'll see y'all next week.
Bye, guys.